At 1 a.m. on July 20th, 2026, police officers in Frederick, Maryland, responded to a call on Market Street in the center of the city. Not a fight, not a fire. A black bear, moving through the commercial downtown core, between storefronts, under streetlights, in the middle of the night. Officers monitored it from a safe distance for approximately 1 hour. Then it left. No dart was fired. No net was deployed. The bear walked away on its own, back into whichever fragment of corridor it had used to arrive. The report was filed. The question it raised was not. Frederick, Maryland, is not wilderness. Market Street runs through a downtown grid of brick storefronts, restaurants, and parked cars. The nearest forested ridge is miles away, and yet on July 20th, 2026, at 1 a.m., a black bear was on Market Street, and police were watching it. That same week, a young black bear had been sedated in a parking garage beneath the Portland Harbor Hotel in downtown Portland, Maine. Michigan DNR officers removed a 150-pound male from a residential area near Central Michigan University, so far inside city limits that officials chose to intervene. In Park City, Utah, a young bear had been tranquilized from a tree in the Prospector neighborhood. In Norton, Massachusetts, police reported one photographed on Plain Street near a cluster of homes. Each incident was treated as an isolated event. Each was logged, managed, and closed. None of them were isolated. The scale of what is happening does not become visible until the numbers are placed in the same frame. In 2025, the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection logged 12,104 reported bear sightings across the state. A single state, a single year. West Hartford alone recorded 1,093 of those sightings. Connecticut Deep records show bear sightings reported across all 169 Connecticut towns and cities. A decade ago, reports of female bears with cubs came from fewer than 50 towns. Over the past 3 years, that number has risen to 119. In North Carolina, the State Wildlife Resources Commission reported 2026 bear incidents in Fayetteville, Rocky Mount, Hillsborough, and Durham as bears moved through the Piedmont. ZEN-CWRC black bear biologist Jenna Malzahn stated that transient bears have been observed in every North Carolina county, including large cities. All 169 Connecticut towns, every North Carolina county. This is a multi-state pattern, and it has been building for years without a headline that holds. The common assumption is that a black bear in a downtown core is a bear that made a mistake, an animal that wandered out of its range, became confused, and ended up somewhere it should not be. The city of Asheville states publicly that bears in neighborhoods are usually temporary spring and summer problems, attracted by garbage, birdseed, pet food, compost, and grill grease. That framing is accurate as far as it goes, but it misses what the animal actually is. American black bears are highly adaptable omnivores. They do not require deep wilderness. They thrive in fragmented habitats, forest edges, brushy creek corridors, the strips of green that run between subdivisions and highways. A black bear does not need a national park. It needs cover, water, and calories. And the margins of American cities supply all three in abundance. A bear on Market Street is not a bear that got lost. It is a bear doing exactly what its biology equips it to do, in exactly the kind of landscape it has always been able to exploit. Young male black bears disperse. It is not a choice, and it is not a malfunction. Between 1 and 2 years of age, young males are driven from their mother's home ranges by the biological imperative to find territory of their own. Maryland DNR has documented that 1.5-year-old bears can travel more than 100 miles during this dispersal phase, crossing highways, rivers, railroad corridors, and in some cases, city centers. Maryland DNR confirmed juvenile black bears reaching Baltimore, Howard, Montgomery, and Prince George's counties during dispersal years, the suburban ring surrounding Washington, D.C. In May 2024, a young black bear was photographed near 14th and Newton Streets NE, in Washington's Brooklyn neighborhood. Maryland DNR bear biologist Jonathan Trudeau said officials had received at least half a dozen reports of what appeared to be the same animal in the D.C. area over the preceding few days. In Florida, the State Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission has documented juvenile bears appearing in unexpected areas while dispersing, calling it a predictable annual pattern. Predictable. That word matters. Wildlife managers know this mechanism exists. They know when it peaks, spring and early summer. They know who the actors are, young males, moving fast, covering ground. What they have not accounted for is why the volume keeps rising. In the 1970s, Pennsylvania's black bear population was estimated at fewer than 5,000 animals. Today, the Pennsylvania Game Commission estimates that population at roughly 19,000, nearly a four-fold increase in half a century, with no public announcement proportionate to what the number represents. Pennsylvania is not an outlier. Mass Wildlife estimates Massachusetts holds more than 4,500 black bears and describes the population as growing and expanding eastward. That expansion is not metaphorical. Mass Wildlife GPS collar research shows adult female black bears now live and raise cubs in suburban and urban areas of western and central Massachusetts, not passing through, not visiting, but denning and breeding in the margins of developed land. The implications are structural. When breeding females establish ranges in suburban zones, the young males they produce begin their dispersal runs from those zones. The dispersal frontier does not start at the edge of a national forest. It starts wherever the females are, and the females are already inside the metro ring. Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and Massachusetts represent a source pool that generates a new cohort of dispersing males every year. The bears on Market Street are not arriving from deep wilderness. They are arriving from one county over. A 6-year GPS study of black bears in Aspen, Colorado, published in PLOS One in 2014, documented something that revises the standard model of bear behavior. Bears did not simply wander into human use areas and then retreat. They responded to food availability with tactical precision. In years when natural food sources, berries, mast, tubers, were poor, bears shifted toward higher-density human areas and became markedly more nocturnal. In good food years, they pulled back toward wildland. The urban environment was not an accident. It was a fallback with a trigger. That behavioral flexibility means drought years, late frosts that kill berry crops, and mast failures become recruitment events for downtown sightings. The local food calendar and the bears' decision-making are coupled. In Norton, Massachusetts, in July 2026, Mass Wildlife assessed the bear photographed on Plain Street as likely a young male searching for his own territory. Not a bear that was confused, but a bear executing a behavioral strategy that his species has refined over tens of thousands of years. The mechanism is documented, peer-reviewed, and repeatable. What is not documented is any institutional framework that treats this as a predictable system rather than a sequence of one-off surprises. When a bear arrives in a downtown core, wildlife managers face a decision that has no clean answer. In Portland, Maine, game wardens tranquilized a young bear inside a parking garage and released it in suitable habitat. In Mount Pleasant, Michigan, a DNR wildlife biologist explained that the bear was so far inside city limits that officials chose to intervene for public, pet, and bear safety. In Frederick, Maryland, officers monitored the bear on Market Street for a full hour, then watched it leave. No intervention was made. In Idaho, a yearling male was relocated from a tree in a Nampa residential neighborhood to a release site north of Ola. Regional wildlife manager Ryan Walrath stated that it is not an everyday or yearly occurrence for a bear to end up roaming a Treasure Valley neighborhood, and that relocation is even rarer. But if it is rare in Idaho, it is becoming routine in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and the Mid-Atlantic. The interventions are inconsistent because the resources to make them consistent do not exist. Tranquilization requires personnel, equipment, and a safe release site within range. Not every agency has all three on standby for a midnight Market Street call. The bears that can be relocated are relocated. The ones that cannot are monitored until they leave. The outdoor sighting is one metric. The home entry is another, and it tells a different story about the direction of this trend. The Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection reported 40 bear home entry incidents in 2025 alone. Over the 6-year period from 2020 through 2025, the total reached 265 home entries spanning 18 municipalities. Instances where a bear physically entered a residential structure through a door, a window, or a screen in a populated Connecticut town. A decade ago, breeding females with cubs were confirmed in fewer than 50 Connecticut towns. That number is now 119. The corridor between source population and residential zone is not widening, it is closing. The 6-year trend is not a spike, it is a slope with a direction. The bears that enter homes are not aberrations. They are the leading edge of a population that is large, reproductively healthy, and expanding into landscapes that American cities were not designed to accommodate. What the Connecticut data represents is the furthest point of integration so far documented. Not bears passing through downtown, but bears operating inside residential space with enough regularity that wildlife managers have had to begin counting. The honest reading of the available evidence produces a forward trajectory that wildlife officials have not formally published as a unified framework. The Pennsylvania Game Commission's 19,000 bear estimate represents a source population that continues to grow. Mass Wildlife describes its population as growing and expanding eastward, with GPS collar data confirming breeding females already established in suburban and urban fringe areas. The Aspen study demonstrated that poor food years drive bears deeper into human infrastructure, and those lean years recur without a fixed schedule. What each state agency frames as an isolated local incident connects, when the data is placed in the same frame, to a single pattern: a population rebound that outpaced any public-facing announcement, a dispersal engine that biology makes inevitable, and a behavioral flexibility that turns every failed berry crop into a downtown sighting. Individual agencies have explanations for individual bears: dispersal, attractants, seasonal movement, range expansion. What no agency has published is a unified public framework for what a growing urban bear pattern means at scale. That gap is what makes each new report feel surprising. The bears are not surprising. At 1 a.m. on July 20th, 2026, on Market Street in downtown Frederick, Maryland, a black bear moved through the lit center of an American city, while officers watched from a distance. After an hour, it left. The report was filed and closed. No tracking device was attached. No genetic sample was recovered. The bear's origin is unknown. Its destination is unknown. Somewhere between the forested ridges west of Frederick and the suburban ring running from Baltimore to Washington, a young male is moving through landscape that was never mapped for him, crossing roads, passing through backyards, following creek drainages through neighborhoods that call the police when they see him. The populations that produced him are the largest they have been in a century, and growing. The agencies that responded to Market Street did everything correctly. They maintained distance, waited, and filed the report. What the report could not answer, and what no agency has yet formally framed, is what the system looks like when the number of reports doubles again. If this kind of forensic documentation is useful, subscribe. One click keeps it coming. The next report will name a street, a time, and a city that did not think it was bear country.